If I asked you a question and said, which position do you think, as far as West Ham United is concerned, in the Championship this upcoming season, which is about 3 weeks away, which position do you think would be the priority? What would you say? Now, I've been asked this question loads of times, absolutely loads of times. Would you prioritise the goalkeeper? Because I don't think our goalkeeper positions, Ariola and Hermansen, are good enough. Herrick's untested. I think we need a goalkeeper. Or would you be, I think we need a more prolific striker alongside Tati? Or, any number of positions. Central midfield, we've sold Fernandez. Need another central midfielder. Now, these are all decent arguments. And they're arguments that I could take or leave. I could put a case for saying I could sort of have fors and against. But I think on balance, there is one position that I think really needs a little bit of surgery. And there's two names that we've been linked with, and both of which have their pluses and minuses. I could make a case for either of them. But we're going to need some surgery at centre-back. When you stop and think about, at the end of the season, last season, we had 4 centre-backs on the book, 4 first-team centre-backs. Well, if things go in a certain direction of travel, by the time this video is posted, we might be down to 1. So I think that maybe, and I say we might be down to 1, that's a doomsday scenario. It's probably not going to happen, but it could. And I'll explain why. But anyway, you can obviously get your points of view across. There's this comment section below. Get stuck into that. If as well you could do us a favour, drop a like on the stream, give us a hype if you have one available. This is what moves the old YouTube algorithms to push this out to places otherwise it might not reach. Why not help it along by sharing this onto your socials? And last but by no means least, if you are not already subscribed to the West Ham Massive YouTube channel, if you take out your mobile device, scan that QR code that's top left. That will take you to our YouTube subscription page. Subscribing is free, data safe, and takes just moments and helps to grow the channel into something bigger than what you find it. Thanks for your support. So, centre-back. Let's run through it, shall we? Premier League season ends last season. We win 3-0, but go down anyway. At that point in time, we have 4 first-team centre-backs. Axel Disasi, on loan from Chelsea, has already gone back to Chelsea, appears not to have a future at Chelsea. In actual fact, as I say, you'll know if you watch this channel for a little while, I broke a story that told that he was at Rush Green on a day that Karim Varani, our CEO, just happened to be there as well. I'm sure they only talked about their kids. I'm sure they only talked about their summer holidays. I'm sure there was no discussions about Axel Disasi possibly coming back to West Ham, either on loan or on a permanent. I'm sure there were no such discussions. But anyway, so Axel Disasi, as things stand right now, is not a West Ham United player, as he was, albeit on loan, at the end of last season. Jean-Clair Todibo, the man that could start an argument in an empty room. He's now fallen out with 3 West Ham United managers. Now, the common denominator is clearly him. He's fallen out with Lopetegui, he's fallen out with Potter, he's fallen out with Nuno. And the third argument, the third manager he's fallen out with in that sequence, namely Nuno, came after the Newcastle game. After the Novelbook game, it was away from home. Nuno played what looked like a bit of an odd team, to say the least, in terms of personnel, in terms of shape. And it went horribly wrong very quickly. So much so that Nuno felt he had no choice but to make a change. That change was substituting off Jean-Clair Todibo. Now, I think it's fair to say it didn't exactly go down the bundle with him. So much so that the story goes that in the immediate aftermath of that decision being made, that Jean-Clair Todibo declared to Nuno he was never going to play for him again. And he's made good on his word, because he didn't play in the Leeds game, he didn't play in the Colchester behind closed doors friendly, and he didn't play yesterday's match against Southend. So he's right there. He looks like he never will play for Nuno again. So I think it's fair to say that although right now he's still employed by West Ham United, we're not going to see him in a claret and blue shirt again. I think that's pretty certain. Then you look at Konstantinos Mavropanos, Hammer of the Year nonetheless. And he's attracting, as apparent as the story goes, interest from numerous clubs. His old club Arsenal their North London rivals, Tottenham, and the Bundesliga team Bayer Leverkusen, some of the names that I've heard off the top of my head that have been linked with taking the Greek centre-back to them, which leaves us with one first-team centre-back, Max Gilman, who I think it's fair to say had a rather inconsistent season last year, and that is putting it mildly. I do think, however, that he could cope in the Championship. Maybe that will offer him an opportunity to rebuild his confidence. I don't know. So it's not inconceivable that we could start the season with one first-team centre-back, which makes me then come to the conclusion centre-back is the priority. So let's talk about two players we've been linked with. Fikayo Tomori of AC Milan and Dylan Lawlor of Cardiff City. Now, Dylan I've already spoken about in a previous video. 20 years of age, he's already got caps for the Welsh national team. League One, Cardiff got promoted. He played a big part in that. My dog's about to start barking because there's another dog the other side of the road. Prepare yourself. There we go. Right on cue. Morning. She'll shut up in a minute. This is what happens on dog walks. I'm sure if you're a dog owner, you know if your dog's one of these dogs that likes a bit of a row with. I think my dog might have the spirit of Jean-Clair Todibo in her. Anyway, so Fikayo Tomori, Dylan Lawlor. Dylan, like I say, 20 years of age, tick, youth. He's got potential to grow, so that's a good thing. I think probably my concern though is he has no, as I'm aware, he's got no real experience at Championship level. We're talking that we're basing our thoughts on what we saw last season in League One. However, one thing I didn't realise, and I've since found out, Bayern Munich were looking at him. So, wait a minute. One of the premier clubs in European football have been looking at this kid. So clearly, he's got something about him. I think he'd be a decent option. But the thing is, what you've got to also understand is that Nuno, on occasion, in this Championship season, might play with three centre-backs. Now, I know a lot of people don't like that formation. A lot of people think that three centre-backs is quite defensive. Well, it can be, but also it can be quite a useful weapon if it's utilised correctly. You need the correct players to play it in a slightly more offensive way. And I would point you in the direction of Chelsea under Antonio Conte in the 2016-17 season. He played, for the bulk of that season, three centre-backs, and they won the Premier League. So I don't necessarily agree that three centre-backs in and of itself is a defensive move. It can be, but it also can be quite the opposite. Well, anyway, the other centre-back, Fikayo Tomori, and I've just mentioned Antonio Conte and Chelsea winning the Premier League. Nice little segue into Fikayo Tomori. So Fikayo Tomori, obviously, most people know him from his Chelsea days. However, he's currently at AC Milan. As I understand it, he's in the last year of his contract. He's been there for 6 seasons. And by all accounts, he wants to come back to London. Now, Fikayo does have Championship experience. He was on loan at both Brighton and Hove Albion and Derby County under Frank Lampard, who was the manager. They got to the playoff final. I think it was Villa they lost against. So he has Championship experience, which Dylan Lawlor doesn't really. So that would be a bit of an advantage. 28 years of age. So if we're going to get him in, unlike Dylan Lawlor, we're probably not going to have a resale value. Dylan's 20, Fikayo's 28. So probably by the time Dylan's time at West Ham comes to an end, we're probably going to get an inflated price for him because hopefully, if it goes according to plan, he's going to have developed, he's going to have improved, he's still going to have a high ceiling, high potential. We can make a profit on him, in all likelihood, if it goes according to plan. With Fikayo Tomori, at 28 years of age, depends upon which way you want to look at it. You're getting a player that, by rights, should be in their prime. However, when you buy a 28-year-old centre-back, you probably know you're not going to make your money back on this player. This isn't a player that you're buying for profitability only, or if profitability is a factor. Really and truly, this is a player for purely for come in, do a job. And I think he could do it. Like I say, he's been playing for 6 years at AC Milan. He's won Serie A. He's got England caps. He's got bags of experience. And as I say, he has played in the Championship. So that's a bit of a boost. That would be a good signing. Now, out of the two, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me just interject myself. Because if Nuno is possibly thinking of intermittently playing 3 centre-backs, or maybe even playing 3 centre-backs during the course of the season, maybe as by default, maybe he needs to buy them both. Now, again, I'm recording this on Sunday the 19th now, and again, as things stand, unless I've missed it, we've still not signed a player. And again, one day has ratcheted on from my last video, just a little bit. My concern has ratcheted up a notch once more. We have edged ever closer to the start of the Championship season, and we're still without a signing. Hopefully, it will happen soon, but then again, I said that a week ago, and we're still here. So again, you'll have to forgive me for being a little bit worried. But anyway, these are 2 players we've been linked with. They've got their good things. It's definitely a position we need to strengthen. There's an argument to say that it might not be a case of we get Tomori or Lawlor, but maybe we might need to get them both. I think centre-back is the priority, in my opinion. You may have a different position that you think needs priority, but for me, like I say, yes, Mavropanos is still in the building. Yes, Todibo is still in the building. Todibo, he's done, right? So now the only question is whether Mavropanos is going to stay. If he goes, we definitely need to strengthen. Even if he stays, I would suggest we still need to get another 2 centre-backs in. These 2 lads could be the answer. One, a young player with scope to improve, although largely untested at Championship level. But there's a great deal of potential there. 6 caps for, I think it's 6. He's certainly been capped by Wales at full international level. And he's also had Bayern Munich sniffing around. So he's clearly a talent. Fikayo Tomori is 8 years further along in his development. There goes my dog again. He's been tested at a high level, Serie A, Premier League, but he's also got championship experience. So, some interesting names. And as I say, to answer the question that I have been asked on multiple occasions, which position should we prioritise? Which would be the one that you would go for? Centre-back. Centre-back, centre-back, centre-back. And they're the reasons why. We may well be starting the season with 2 first-choice centre-backs, really. Even if Tomori is still employed by us. Todibo is still employed by us. We're not going to use him. And even if Nuno said, I'm picking you, he'll probably just tell us to do one. So, anyway, that's my thoughts. You can get your thoughts in the comment section below. Tell me what you think. Is centre-back the priority for you? If it is, what do you think about these 2 fellas, or have you got other names in mind? If it's not, explain your reasoning and give me an idea of who you think the player is we should bring in that position. I'd be really interested to know, and I'll get back to all of the comments that I can. So get them in the section below. Let's start a little bit of a conversation. Why don't you share this onto your social media platforms? That will help to increase the reach of this content. And give us a like, give us a hype, because again, that pushes things in the right direction and gets this to places that otherwise might not get. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, top left, you'll see a QR code. Scan that, that will take you to our YouTube subscription page. Subscribing is free, data safe, and only takes a moment of your time and helps to grow the channel into something bigger. So what's not to like? Appreciate your time. See you next time. Come on, you irons.